Market update here on the 18th, starting here with Tesla. So the first thing that I noticed about this move is this impulse move from 228 up here to 258 is that previously in the videos I put out like a week or two ago, I was saying that this didn't make very much sense. I was saying that this doesn't make sense as an ABC move. And I said it's more than likely this is an expanded flat. And so in the last video over the weekend, I was saying that there's a potential that we're looking at a fifth wave like that. Still didn't really sit right with me because it didn't really make that much sense. This corrective move didn't make that much sense because I thought this was 5 waves, then this was ABC, and then this was ABC. That wouldn't make much sense. But I was just going with it because the way the chart looked. However, now that we potentially topped out here, I was playing this move right here, and it invalidated. We got a impulse move down, I think. It's also kind of tricky on smaller time frames. I'll go over that here in a second. But the first thing that sticks out to me is that when I've been talking about that expanded flat and why this didn't make that much sense, look where we hit today. We nailed the 1.61 fib exactly on the log chart. So that would mean expanded flat. So that's why it didn't make that much sense. A, B, C, like that. So what that means is we're either going to get some more corrections where we're going to come back down here and then maybe go up here again. Or this is some kind of diagonal right here to end the fifth wave. Or, yeah, it would have to be the fifth wave. Because this part right here is kind of confusing, I guess, though, too, because I thought this was an impulse move as well. So it is kind of a confusing move, but I think we just finished an expanded flat right here. And so I am still looking at this as A, B, C, like that. No idea how far this will go down. Usually you take A wave to the B wave like this, and you can measure anywhere from the 0.78 fib down here all the way to the 1.61 fib here. So we're looking at a target of 237.50 to potentially 216.50. So that's kind of the area that I expect Tesla to go down to. After that, I'm just going to go ahead and treat this as either ABC, so again, like that, or I'm looking at it as a second wave. So that's kind of what I'm seeing short term. If we zoom in here on lower time frames, I was playing calls and then I got out of them pretty much around 256.50. I was just kind of like, this looks like it pretty much topped out. It kind of invalidated the move. Maybe a little bit lower. I think 256.25. I don't know where it was. I think it was actually below, maybe below this, 255.50. Anyway, I made a little bit of money up here, and then I got out of those. Played a little bit on the put side, but honestly, trading this is just horrible right now. But this looks like it's probably a 5-wave move. We got 1, it meets all the objectives. We have 1, 2, 3 outside the parallel line. We hit the 1.61 fib. 4th wave does not come back into the 1st wave, and then we get another move down here to basically the same length as the 1st wave, a little bit more actually. That was one of my targets. It almost hit it perfectly. And so I'm counting this as 5 waves. No need to really go in here and cherry pick and look at all the different waves. It does look like on this time frame it could potentially be like ABC. But from here, just based on the whole structure and where we hit, I'm just looking for a pullback now. Probably get a pullback tomorrow to the 0.5 fib. Or it is a C wave, so you got to be very careful here. This could potentially be 1, 2, and we're in a bigger 3rd wave. the market's so toppy, you could be looking at this like, and the third wave's way down here, and then we could just potentially just go all the way down to one of those targets right away. If the market starts selling off, Tesla could lose 10% in a week, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. So you got to watch out for that. But if we did bottom on this first wave, you'd expect to move up. I would honestly probably lean toward just continuing to go down, just based on the fact that we've already started, and that's just the way that Tesla moves. You can also look at the length of how long this took. So Wednesday the 29th to the 18th, that's 19 days. I would expect this to bottom somewhere around the 27th. So a few days after Christmas, I would expect a bottom on this. So again, no idea which one it will be, but it's probably going to be like this. Is that going to be here? Is that going to be here? I don't know. Somewhere in this area around the 27th. So 237 to 217 by the 27th is my target, and then I'll be going long again, just based on that chart, because this is probably a B wave, and that means we only have a C wave down, and then you're going to want to buy the dip. So it's probably going to be a short dip if we get one, and that pretty much sums up Tesla. If you want to watch my long-term video I put over the weekend, you can watch that too. But right now, again, 237 to 217 in the next 9 days. So, and you know, this is kind of like, I'm talking about this being an ending diagonal. I'm pretty sure, I haven't really been looking at the rules on Elliott wave lately, but I'm pretty sure within a first wave, as long as it's in the fifth wave of the first wave, it's not really that clear. I think you can have an ending diagonal. So this would actually end up being, even though it's kind of a sketchy ending diagonal, but something like that. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. That's pretty much what I think on Tesla. QQQ, here's my thoughts on QQQ. I'm not sure if this has topped out yet, but I do think it might have, and this might actually be an ABC move. And the reason I think that is because, again, just use your parallel lines and look at this. This is not an impulse move. This is so far away from going higher. This is a very, very low volume move that this is looking like a B wave to me. So what I mean by that would be A, B potentially up here, and then like that. And then that would be the start of a correction that is probably going to come down here to 378, I think. I guess I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's kind of the start of what I would expect on QQQ. If it does continue to go up here higher and hit this and then fall back and then keep on going higher after that, it's not fitting my structure for a 5-wave move, but there's nothing you can really do about that. There's not really that much technical analysis that's going to tell you that this is going to keep on melting up for the next 2% higher, you know. This market is, I mean, the technical analysis on this is just, if you're long on this, you can just keep on being long though. I mean, there's no reason to go short until you get an actual big move down, and the market hasn't really given us that opportunity. And so yeah, that's my thoughts on QQQ. One thing to note is also on this is we went a little bit higher than it now actually, but we were originally hitting it the 1.61 fib, and this structure again also looks like an ABC structure to me. A. So if that's the case, then I would be looking for, let's see, let's say it tops out here, I'd be looking for a pullback to 365, potentially lower than that. But That's just if this is a B wave here. We don't know. It kind of looks like a C wave of a B wave. We don't know yet. So we're just waiting for that correction. And if it does end up falling like that, then you're going to see a huge, huge correction to 365. I personally think this is probably a fourth wave, and this is probably a first wave, and we're going to see pullback, and then we're going to see higher. But again, if you look at the dollar is probably going to go lower. So that's the reason I think that this is probably a first wave. And yeah, leave it at that for now. Let's look over SPY. Let's go to SPX. SPX, I looked over this on the weekend. I think that there's a daily supply zone here at 477.4 from the all-time highs. I think we're probably going to get stopped up in there. If it just goes through this supply zone and goes to new highs, then who knows? Like, this thing is so overbought. Let's look at this standard deviations again. We're now, so we were down here in the low, about the same area we're at on the high now as far as standard deviations. On the weekly, you're at the very top as well. So look where the top was in 2021. We're more overbought than 2021 right now. So you can see you don't want to be buying up here. You just want to be waiting, having your shorts ready. And if you're a risk taker, okay, go long and have a really tight stop. But I think that if we're going to go outside of this weekly standard deviation, we got to pull back here. 410 to 480, pull back here to at least like 440, and then maybe come up here, and this is kind of the pattern I'm looking for, and then that would be at like 3 or 4 standard deviations. So we're near the top. I don't know how long they're gonna keep this nonsense up, but nobody's buying up here. It's just algos and then pinning it up here and just kind of, and you know, people are making gains off the, you know, the small cap stocks, but like the Bitcoin stocks, like HUT, Mara, CleanSpark, all those stocks are running pretty hard. I think that's because there's a Bitcoin ETF in January. But then you have SoFi, it ran pretty hard. You have Firm, all those stocks too. But IWM also needs to pull back here. Take a look at that. So IWM on the weekly, again, higher than it was back in 2021. It's about to go. It actually tapped this supply zone right here at 200. And again, I put out a video in the spring, and I was looking for a move back down here. I think with the dollar, we're probably going to see something like this. Potentially up here to like 230. And then if it's going to go higher after that, you're probably looking at something like this. Because this is definitely a ABC move at the minimum. It's not an impulse move. So you're probably going to see a pullback after we hit 230 if it's a 5-wave move. 230 is the 1.61 fib. And then I would be looking for either sell off to new lows or a B wave and another move higher if they want to hold this off into the election. So looking for a pullback to probably somewhere around 185 minimum starting here soon. Let's go over the rest of the tech stocks. Let's go over Amazon. So Amazon, this one is pretty, like one of the best ones to read because it's such a clear 5-wave move. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in the 5th wave. And if I was going to pick where this would top out at, I would say up here at 166. And right now, though, it is going into a daily supply zone right here. But there's another daily supply zone and a gap fill right here at 163. So yeah, it's going into a supply zone. It's made a huge move in the last 7 weeks from 118 all the way up to 154. Personally, don't want to touch it, but it might be going to 166 right now. I don't think so, but it could. Again, you look at this, we're at the top of the zone. It's probably unlikely it's going to get up to here. Weekly, again, overextended. So again, this is fifth wave, and you're already overextended on the fifth wave. Potentially going to 166, but you really want to risk it when it's in a supply zone. Finish at 154, it's got to get through 157.76 to potentially get up here into this supply zone at 163. So again, another example of a stock that I don't really want to touch. The best case scenario for this would be where I'd want to get in is if we ended up doing this. So if we got a pullback here and it ends up being just the first wave of the fifth wave, then I'm 100% getting in here at 115 again. So I would want to see a pullback to 115. If it goes to 166, maybe a little bit higher, but there is a gap here at 115. That's where I'd be looking on a pullback. So that's Amazon, Apple. Apple is got to be close to topping out as well. Here's again, you have this ABC move, and look at this. The max Apple can go to is 207. So if the market's going to go higher, Apple's going to have to keep on going higher. It did make a new all-time high, I think. Am I right about that? Yeah. New all-time high. But this is probably just a B wave. So that kind of shows you that the overall market might be a B wave as well, where you got A, B, C down here. And if that's the case, you could potentially see this go all the way down here to 156. Depending on where this tops out at, you're looking at potentially that happening in the next 2.5 months. So if this falls all the way down here, it could happen quick like that. So we'll see. That structure is showing me that it's probably going to have a C wave down here to a minimum of, you're looking at a minimum of 178. So that's if it's topped out. I'm not really even counting the waves on these smaller time frames because it's kind of pointless. It's going to keep on going up. It's going to keep on going up. But that is Apple. Microsoft. So Microsoft staying up, but again, I would not really want to be long this either. So you have potentially, though, this could potentially be a fourth wave. So I guess it kind of depends. They want to make this melt up over the next couple of months and then crash the market in March or April, because it's coming. We're gonna get a pullback here, but like they could potentially take this down here to $345 like over the next like couple of weeks. So if this ends up being ABC, then we bounce and then we make a move to the 1.61 fib, you're looking at 340. There's a gap right here at 338. So, and there's a gap right here at 356. I think that's coming for sure. It's just a matter, is this might be a fourth wave. So you might be looking at that, like that. And if that's the case, wouldn't be surprised if they made this fifth wave extra long. So I'd watch out. If this comes down here to 356, it might be a buy. Just because if you have a tight stop, you might be able to make pretty good money on that, 10-15%. So something to watch, and if that's the case, maybe Apple is in a fourth wave as well. And it can go all the way up here to 207. Amazon can go to 166. Google potentially in a second wave, had a nice move today. Actually, one of the stocks I'd probably want to get in the most. But knowing everything else is going to fall, I would imagine that this would probably fall too, and I'd probably want to get in down here with a stop below the low, because this is probably just would be like that if we're going to go higher. So there might just be a short dip, and that short dip might just take like 10 days into the end of the year, and you might want to buy that. So just my projection on those. NVDA, and then on NVIDIA, I would probably expect like that. So the correction would come down here to 440. You want to buy that, and then you get a move to potentially like 650. So I'm actually, like, the more I'm looking at these, they're probably going to sell off a little bit, and you're probably going to want to buy the dip with a tight stop. What else do we have here? Meta, I haven't looked at that in a while. Probably the same thing. Buy the dip. You got a gap up here at 360. So yeah, the more I look at these, the more you want to buy the dip. Again, on Tesla, I expect it to go higher as well. So I would just be waiting right now, and I would be looking for a move that potentially can go all the way up for a third wave on all these stocks. Let's look at DXY. So I have it drawn out right here. You see I wrote this out. You don't bottom with this structure. This took 4 months. This took 8 months. AB divided by 2 equals C. So that's about 6 months. So I'm expecting this to go, again, like this down here into April. Another reason why you're probably going to want to buy this dip on all of these tech stocks. So let's see what else we got here. 10-year yield. And yields have not even started correcting yet. I expect those to come back up here soon. Probably another quick correction and then start making our way down. So gaps to fill down here in the low 3s. So that is pretty much it for this video. Just showing you that these stocks are overextended, but if we do get a correction, I'll keep you up to date. You're probably going to want to buy the dip, and especially on growth stocks. Those are probably going to run even harder than tech stocks. But for right now, I'm kind of chilling out and waiting for this dip to start. Get ready to buy it here in the next 10 days for an epic run up all the way probably through April. That's it. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates, and I'll catch you in the next video.